Frontier, Chapter 29. Zack relaxed in his chair, done acting for now.
I wasn't sure they weren't going to blast us out of the sky.
Lena flashed him a thumbs up.
You did great. It was very convincing.
Fellow poked his head from behind the engineering station.
Can I come out now?
Yes, but get ready. They may hail us again.
He stepped from behind the console and sat down on the floor.
Did the fighter make it through?
Lena quickly scanned the area from Sir Leah's console.
There's no sign of it, so it must have.
She concentrated on the console, and Fellow noticed she was trembling slightly. He stood and walked over, touching her shoulder. She was extremely tense. Lena glanced up at him, annoyed.
What?
Something wrong?
She frowned.
Of course something's wrong. The love of my life and his best friend are attempting a jailbreak alone with a psychopath.
Feldo stepped back a few paces.
Alright. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Lena turned her head, but after a minute she looked back at Feldo.
I'm sorry. I snapped.
I understand. In fact, I've been in your position before, and I acted the exact same way.
Zack put on his biggest smile and clapped Lena on the back.
Don't worry about it. I've known Lev for longer than you, but I'm sure that you already know he's one tough motherfucker.
Lena loosened up a little, but her anxiety remained.
I hope you're right.
Grace looked around. It was the second day since she got the note, and she was watching carefully for the signal. There! A guard was just being relieved by another guard, who had red hair. She was guarding the hall which held the kitchens, the break room, and a few storerooms. Sometimes prisoners would break in and steal food or kitchen utensils, so it had to be guarded. She quickly darted down the catwalk to where Jess was leaning.
Jess, I need you to do me a favor.
Yeah? What's in it for me?
You can have my tuna and all my cigarettes if you distract the kitchen guard. I need something from there.
Jess smiled.
Really? All your tuna? You got it. One prison riot coming up.
She vaulted over the rail and landed on the floor, grabbing the nearest person.
Hey! I saw you looking at me funny.
The unfortunate woman looked up at Jess in bewilderment.
What? What the hell are you saying?
Jess shook her.
Did you just cuss at me?
The argument escalated, and soon a crowd had formed, and a few people were pushing each other. Grace leaned against the wall near the door, and the guard eventually ran over to break up the fight once the first punch was thrown. Grace took her opportunity and slipped through the unlocked door, staying low and watching every detail of the hall. Her military background had trained her to notice everything in her surroundings. She could see a door at the end of the hall. It was the guard's break room, conveniently right beside the kitchen. She stalked down the corridor, putting her ear up against the doors, hearing only some movement and muffled conversations. She knew she was in the right place. If she wasn't, the cameras would have picked her up. Gray must have done something to them, though that wasn't surprising. She whirled around when she heard a sound. One of the ceiling vents was moving. A brown, white-striped footpaw shoved the vent's grate down with a clang. Leff dropped down and glanced around wildly, his back to Grace.
Coast is clear, guys.
Grace cleared her throat.
Right here.
Leff almost fell back.
Ah, ghost!
Celia dropped down and drew her pistol on Grace.
Who are you? Wait, you're Atrian.
Gray appeared next to the two gracefully, but he lost all his composure when he laid eyes on Grace.
There you are, Grace.
Grace ran to him.
Oh, Dad, I missed you!
She hugged him so hard his hat flew off. Leff nudged Celia as Grace and Gray hugged in the middle of the hallway.
Reminds you of history class, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
The, story about Martin and his daughter. Everyone knows that one.
Celia glanced behind her, relieved none of the doors had windows.
Guys, this is not the place or the time.
Gray shook his head and let go of Grace, quickly wiping away a tear.
Of course. Back into the...
The break room door flew open with a bang, and a guard stepped out, yawning. She froze when she saw the four standing there, vent open. She pulled out her gun, hastily.
Escape! Prisoner, escape!
The guard was so startled by their appearance, she didn't check to see what setting her gun was in before firing at Grace, unknowingly firing a fully charged plasma blast directly at her chest. It would have bored a hole all the way through, but Gray's unnatural speed came into play. He dove in front of her, the blast catching his abdomen and spinning him around. The searing heat aided his body, and he screamed in pain. Celia pushed Grace aside and stunned the guard, her body dropping to the floor, twitching. Grace dragged Gray's moaning body to a small alcove in the wall, and was joined by Lef and Celia as more guards began coming out of the break room, weapons wisely set to stun.
Father, we have to go. Get up!
Celia fired blindly at the door, keeping the guards at bay. Gray groaned and felt his wound.
It's bad.
Fire lit up in Grace's eyes, and she pulled the long pistol from Gray's coat.
We're getting you out of here.
She rooted around in his coat some more, pulling out a grenade.
Close your eyes.
She tossed it, and it rolled to a stop beside one of the guards. The guard looked down at it as it let out a blinding flash of light and an ear-bursting whine. Grace used the stun grenade's blast for cover and ran out to the main room, where the fight was dying down as the stun grenade drew the attention of the combatants. She ran up and fired into the air, the high-energy beam cutting a swath in the ceiling.
Freedom!
She ran back to the kitchen door as the first cries of triumph could be heard. At this point, there were at least 10 riot officers breaking up the fight, but they were trampled under the surge of hope from the prisoners. Soon the hall was flooded, and the guards were caught ironically totally off guard. The prisoners stormed, without any thought to where, down the hall. Celia was already in the vent, helping Lef up as well. One of the prisoners grabbed his leg and pulled.
Hey, let me in there!
Grace kicked her out of the way and brandished the gun at the other prisoners, who were gathering around.
One at a time!
Jess walked up, a smile on her face.
I knew you pulled through.
Jess!
No need to thank me. Oh, need help?
She saw Lef trying to grab onto Gray and lumbered over, grabbing Gray and tossing him into the vent. Grace clambered in after him, and Jess tried to follow, but the vent was too small for her girth.
Hey, help me!
The other prisoners started yelling.
Get your fat ass out of there!
You're blocking our only escape! Ugh!
There was a poof sound, and soon the 5 in the vent could smell tear gas.
All right, time to leave.
Grace pulled Gray behind her, ignoring the trail of blood.
Hey!
Jess yelled at them, waving her arms.
Help me! Don't leave me here!
Grace was about to turn a corner when she looked back.
Sorry.
She rounded the corner, and Jess went limp, eyes puffy from the gas.
Oh, well. I was gonna murder me and those pretty boys anyway.
The ops officer on board the Maggot shook his head in confusion.
Sir, I have a report.
Paula shot up and looked over the ops officer's shoulder, only to see a blank screen.
What? I don't see anything.
I contacted the info exchange like you ordered, but you refused to give us any info.
What? But we have their ship in custody. According to law, they have to.
They were adamant, sir.
She sighed and waved her hand.
Never mind that then. What about the scans?
He brought up a series of fuzzy images.
These are the best visual readouts. All of the sensor data got eaten up by the flares and never got back. These images reveal something, though.
He pointed. A shape could be seen between 2 flares. It didn't look like much, just a blob, and it was vaguely triangular in shape.
What is it?
I don't know. It could be the Frontier, or any other ship.
And the warden?
He's not gotten back to me.
She nodded.
Keep me posted. I'm going to look over the sensor data from before and after the weapons malfunction.
Sirens blared as the 4 tumbled out of the vent onto the ground. Grace supported Gray and helped him towards the rope, where Celia was waiting impatiently.
Stop. Put me down.
She shushed him and stroked his head comfortingly.
Be quiet, Father. Just a little more, and we'll be safe.
Put me down. Now!
The urgency in his voice compelled her to obey, lying him down on the rocks. Lef took the opportunity to check Gray's injuries.
Oh, Grace, I'm sorry. He's hard shot.
Lef could feel the weak beating through his side, and it was getting threadier and weaker. Gray coughed and held up a paw.
Listen, get away from here now! I'm done. Can climb down there if I wanted to. Go. Live.
Grace's tears splashed onto Gray's face, soaking his fur.
No, I can't leave you. Not after I waited so long.
Lef pulled her shoulder, but she smacked him away.
They have ships out already. We have to go now if we're going to make it.
Gray's eyes clouded over, and he reached out to touch Grace's cheek. He never did. Grace shook his body.
No, come on.
Lef pulled Grace off Gray's body, and she struggled feebly.
He's gone. Don't waste his efforts by staying here.
She stopped struggling and gazed at Gray's corpse. She looked at the gun in her paw and gripped it tightly. She stood and climbed down the rope swiftly without looking back. Sir Leah was already at the bottom, and his left swung himself over the precipice. He took one last look at Gray.
You were wrong. I would have said yes.
He descended as fast as he could, heading for the fighter. Zack jumped as the comm beeped. Feldo dove for cover so he wouldn't be seen, and Zack straightened his hair, answering the call.
Hello, Commander. Lef!
Lef was on screen, his face creased in concentration.
Zack, we're coming back up. Ready more flares. Ah!
The ship rocked as something hit the fighter.
We're under fire too, and Gray didn't make it.
There was another shock to the fighter, and the line cut on its own. Zack sat upright with purpose. As the highest-ranking officer, he was captain.
All right. Feldo, disengage the computer program, ready weapons, wait for my mark. Lena, set a course out of this system, maximum light speed.
She looked at him like he was crazy.
What? Inside a system? We'll be flattened into a pancake if we run into anything, and this system has hundreds of hunks of rock in it!
I know, pilot. We have no choice. Plot the safest course you can. Along the Z-axis would be best.
Feldo looked up from the first officer's position.
Guys, they're in sense range of the commander's ship.
Flares!
Commander Paula had just gotten off the line with the warden. A ship with escaped prisoners was heading up from the planet, and fast.
Turn around and engage. Don't let them escape.
Yes.
Suddenly, the screen once again went completely white. This time, the flares were fired directly into the two ships, which didn't have any shields. The navigational computer went crazy, mistaking the flares for stars and trying to get a celestial fix on them. The ships careened out of control until the engines were shut down.
Damn! Halen must be behind this whole thing. Someone find a way to cut through this interference.
Aye, sir.
Left swerved and dodged as 3 surface-based ships pursued him doggedly.
Hold on, guys.
He pulled up on the stick abruptly, pulling them into a half loop. He leveled out and fired a few shots from his plasma cannons across the bow of the lead ship. It swerved to avoid them, but took a few shots into its shields. Left spiraled around and accelerated, leaving the less maneuverable ship to try and catch up. Sir Leah pounded on his back as she clutched her stomach.
Stop. My stomach. Just lie straight, damn it.
The Frontier could be seen not too far off, firing flares one after another into the other 2 ships, which were now firing blindly with their more light energy weapons. Left tried to hail them again, but the comm system was shot.
Looks like we'll make it.
There was another crash, and a plume of steam began gushing from the floor of the fighter. Grace's first instinct was to plug it with her foot, but she pulled it back as the steam almost cooked her foot.
Ow!
Sir Leah threw her coat over the steam plume, and Grace held it down with Gray's gun.
I think they've caught up to us.
Left pulled hard to the right, avoiding a missile that would have destroyed them in one shot.
I know that, Sir Leah.
Sir Leah snapped her fingers.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
She pulled out her SCOM and called Zack. He answered.
Hello?
Zack, aim a few of those flares our way. Give them a few more things to lock onto.
All right, but they might get a lock on us. Just hurry.
The flares began streaking past the fighter and flying into the 3 pursuing ships. One tried to fire again, but the weapons locked onto one of the flares, and the shot ended up destroying a nearby asteroid.
Sir, there are less flares. I have a partial lock on the Frontier.
Hail them.
Zack's face appeared on screen.
Hey, what's up?
Enough of this! We have locked on with our cutter beam. Cease fire and surrender, or we will reduce your ship to a collection of atoms whose half-lives won't last as long as a blink.
That's a rather long threat. All right, you win.
He cut the line and stopped firing. Paula caught a flash of movement. A shuttle had just docked with them. Before she could react, her ops officer yelled.
They're readying a jump.
Fire! Aim to obliterate their engine. Don't kill them.
There was a brief hum, the power drain causing all the lights in the ship to dim. A loud sound that could only be described as a pshaw deafened the crew. The cutter glowed, then a beam so pure in energy and brilliant in luminescence that all surrounding darkness seemed to be banished shot forth. However, the beam didn't hit anything. The Frontier was already gone by the time the beam cut through space, continuing through the system until it hit a gas giant to no effect.
Pursuit course. Order the Finch along with us.
Sir, orders from the Warden. We are to stand down and not pursue.
She whirled around.
What?
Speak to him yourself.
The ops officer said, gesturing to the incoming hail in the console. She sat down and answered it.
There had better be a good reason for this, Warden.
The old withered warden grimaced at her. I don't like this any more than you do. I just got word from General Jared of the Solar Federation that, there was no prisoner on that ship.
What? How the hell would he know?
The warden sighed. If there was a prisoner on that ship, it would have been prisoner 18895. Understand? She shuffled uncomfortably.
Yes, there was no prisoner on that ship. Just a failed escape attempt we can ignore.
He nodded. Good. The line was cut, and the commander sat back in her chair. After a minute, she got bored again and pulled out her favorite book. Left dashed into the cockpit and almost tripped over his own foot.
Quick, status!
Feldo looked back casually.
Oh, chill, Lef. They aren't following us.
Grace walked into the cockpit with Celia, her face an anguished grimace.
They won't look for me. I'm a secret they'll deny until the Solar Federation is dust.
Left nodded, the realization dawning on him.
Oh, of course! Since you're a POW, they won't risk trying to bring you back.
Lena walked over to Lef, trying to hide her relief. She couldn't for long and hugged him tightly.
You tough motherfucker.
Whoa! Peach, I think that's the first time you've ever cussed. I'm so proud of you.
He patted her ears down. Celia rolled her eyes, and Zack suppressed a laugh.
You're a terrible influence, Lef.
Zack stood from the captain's chair and gestured to Lef.
You're back in command, sir.
Lef swatted him as he sat down, Lena returning to the pilot's seat.
Oh, shut up, Halen.
Celia relieved Feldo and immediately saw something on her screen.
Oh hey, Atrian ship's dead ahead.
Grace nodded.
Yep, those will be for me. Although not officially a mission run by the government, might as well have been. My father. He was ordered to free me, off the records. Most of the government thinks he's a criminal, but he's a hero.
Lef patted her shoulder.
I'm so sorry this had to happen. I have to admit, he was a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
Henry, who had been waiting in the background with his goons the whole time, stepped forward.
Hey, so...
Grace waved at him.
Yeah, you'll be paid.
He nodded, hesitated, then spoke up again.
Your father was a great man. We won't soon forget, Angel Eyes.
His cronies nodded and grunted in agreement. Soon they were hailed by the gathered ships. A face none of them recognized appeared on screen.
Greetings. I trust... Wait, you aren't Gray.
Lef kept his face somber.
He passed away during the mission. We were successful.
Grace stepped into the camera's view.
I have all the information, Admiral.
Good. I will look forward to the debriefing. Eddie out.
The comm went dead as Lef gawked at the empty screen.
That was Admiral Eddie?
Grace nodded.
Yep, I just have some things to tell him. Things I learned during the war. Things the Solar Federation doesn't want us to know.
Zack grinned and leaned in, ear pointed her way.
Ooh, do tell.
I will bite your ear off.
Zack quickly shuffled away. Grace walked to the door and turned around.
Thank you for all your help.
Then she swept away, gracefully, like her father. The crew of the Frontier never saw her again. As Rackham held the last note of an old Atrian folk song, the bulkhead opened, and Left stepped inside to the smell of sweaty, unwashed bodies and roasted meat. The room was dark, as the power was low, and was just beginning to come back. All eyes fixed on Left, and Rackham laughed loudly.
Ha 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 ha! Left! Come join us! We're just having a sing-along. After the power went out, we treated it like a camping trip.
Lef almost laughed at the childish prospect, but when he saw some of the people around the small, smokeless fire, he knew it's what they needed.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But boy, do I have one hell of a fireside tale to tell you.